So I'll tell you guys one more story about the monocliffs before I go to bed here. A couple summers ago, I was up there with a couple of different friends, Mike and Ron. And Mike and Ron are kind of sort of crazy hippies that are, I don't know. It's hard to describe just what kind of space cases they are. It really is. But they're real space cases. I can't even get into that. But anyway, I was hanging out with them there, and they weren't from there at all. They're both from totally different parts of the earth. And we were living in Toronto together, not far from this place. So I managed to rustle up a whole bunch of mushrooms one day, and we decided, okay, we're going to go up to the Mono Cliffs. And I drove us up there and took these guys out to one specific spot out in the middle of the Mono Cliffs. There's one spot where you go up to the edge of the cliff, and there's about a 1 meter gap that's like an 80-foot drop to jagged rock. There's about a 1 meter gap out to this great big other rock that's hanging out away from the cliff. It's a separate rock, but it's like level with it. It's perfect to jump across. So you jump across, you go out, and suddenly you go from trees everywhere to the point where you can't see through because they're cedar. You jump out onto this rock, and suddenly you can see for miles over all the cliffs, green in all directions. You look up one way, and it's all farmers' fields. It's just gorgeous. So we call this spot Indian Head. And there's even like a book up there now where people who go to Indian Head can sign the book to prove they've been there, kind of thing, right? I'm gaining more viewers. That's awesome. Yeah, so, okay, so I took them up to this place, and we made all this great tea. And we're sitting around drinking our, hey, Hank the Tank. I'm just sitting here telling stories before I go to bed, man. I'm going to be playing again tomorrow, but if you want to hit that follow button, I'll be doing a giveaway in the next few days. Anyways, back to my story. So we drank all this mushroom tea and went up to Indian Head. And it just started hitting us on Indian Head. And my space case friends were just sitting there in the sun, like, basking in the amazingness of the spot. And they would not leave. I was like, come on, guys, there's so much more around here. You gotta see the bat cave and the staircase and all this crazy stuff. And they're like, no, we're just going to sit here. Okay, fine. So I took off, and I had my bongo drum with me, and I think I had some music on my phone or something. Oh, thanks, Hank. You did hit that follow button. That's great. So, okay, so I'm sitting up there by this bat cave that's not far away from... Do you want to turn off that? I'm hearing my voice come back at me. It's starting to make me freak out a bit.
Shrooms.
I don't know if one of the people in my...
Nope. You're off.
That's not me. Well, I don't know. It could be me.
Yeah, it could be you.
You're off on mine.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay. Back to my story. So I'm not far away from... Oh, it's still there. I'm not far away from that Indian Head place. And, what's it called? There's a whole nother little cliff like that was just really small, just big enough for one person to sit out. So I'm sitting out there on this little cliff with my bongo drum and playing along with some Tool or something. And I keep hearing this buzzing sound in my ear. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, waving my hand around in my ear thinking there's like a bee that keeps coming around bugging me. But I'd look, and there's nothing there. And, yeah, that echo is just brutal. Someone's got to do something about that echo.
Well,
Maybe it's you.
I just took you from my speakers to my headphones. Yeah, maybe mute your stream. I don't know.
My stream is muted.
I don't know.
It's always muted.
I don't know. You're on my headphones now, so it's not me.
I don't have speakers.
Do you guys, on Skype, do you both have my stream muted?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh, that's really weird. Okay. Maybe it's coming through one of your headsets or something, too. Anyways, story. So I'm waving my hand around trying to get this bee away, and I keep looking, and there's nothing there. And finally I figure it out. I stopped playing the drum for a bit, and I could still hear it, and it sounded like the bee was, like, echoing. And that didn't make any sense, and I'm looking around. This doesn't make any sense. I look in my drum, and it's got a clear plastic head on it. I look in there, and there's this tiny little yellow and black yellow jacket. You know, those teeny tiny bees that can like hover in one place and jump from spot to spot real quick. And there's this tiny little yellow jacket inside my drum, just chilling in there. And so I kind of tapped my drum head, and he got a little bit scared and then came back up to the drum head. So I tapped it again, and he just sat there. So I start hitting the drum, and then I start banging on the drum, and then I start playing songs, and he's hanging out inside the drum while I'm smoking this thing to death. And this bee like hung out with me. After I stopped playing, he came out, and he literally, man, I'm sitting there looking off a cliff at this beautiful, again, I'm wasted on mushrooms. I'm looking out at these beautiful clouds that are forming like, you know, right in front of me really, really fast under the hot sun, and I can see the fractals and all these beautiful clouds, these teeny, you know, broken little triangles of color shimmering in the clouds as I'm looking. And what's it called? And this little bee is like sitting right next to me, and we're looking out together over the cliff, like he's sitting right next, you know, flying in the air right beside my head, looking where I'm looking. It was really cool. And then the coup de grace of the day, beside the spot I'm sitting, it's kind of hard to explain, but there was a little spot of cliff. Oh, it had gone away and now it's back. What happened? Dope. Anyways, okay, it's gone again. So there was a little piece of cliff that kind of went up on an angle, and again, these are cedar tree forests, and so it's like a carpet of green that you can kind of hold on to. It's not spiky. And so there's this little piece of cliff hanging out beside the cedar trees, and I walked up the little bit of cliff, grabbing onto the cedar trees with my hands behind me, and I'm kind of leaning out over this 150-foot cliff, holding on to nothing but cedar branches, and the wind starts to kind of blow a little bit, and here I am like, yeah, that makes sense, vibrations, yeah. The wind starts to blow a little bit, and I'm kind of blowing in the trees with it and just holding on to the trees as they kind of blow me around. And I really felt like I was like really inside the moment. I was connected to the earth and the universe and everything around as I'm in the sunlight, just letting the wind blow me around. And all of a sudden, only a few feet from my left ear, I hear this big whoop noise. And I look up, and there's this huge black turkey vulture that just opened up its wings and swooped down right in front of my face. The tip of its wings were like fucking 1.5 feet from my nose, man. And I'm looking at this thing as it goes by, and two more come right behind it, one a little lower, one a little higher. And the one a little higher, for some strange reason I still can't explain, I had this urge to put out my right hand, so I did. And as the one flew over me, a perfect little feather dropped off its wing and dropped right into my hand. That was the most intense moment of my existence.
I think the moral of the story is that you get along with crazy wild animals.
That's my crazy story. That's my best magic mushroom story, that's for sure.